Lewis Hine, photographer of conscience, mentor text, explanatory model. In 1938, the U.S. Congress passed the Fair Labor Standards Act, FLSA, which established rules for the employment of children. The law set the minimum working age at 14 for non-agricultural jobs, required safe working environments, and instituted protections for children's health and education. Countless people had worked for decades to secure the passage of such laws. None were more tireless than Lewis Hine. Yet Hine was not a politician. He was a photographer who believed that images could change people's minds and children's lives. The rise of industry. The Industrial Revolution was an era of technological change that began around 1760 and continued through the mid-1800s. It transformed society as huge waves of people moved from rural towns and farming jobs to big cities and factory work. The Second Industrial Revolution began in the 1880s with the arrival of electricity. Electric lights, telephones, and skyscrapers became a part of ordinary life. Urban populations grew enormously, as did the demand for goods. With so much demand, manufacturers faced labor shortages. They needed workers, but they also wanted to save money on employees. One solution was to hire millions of poor children, some as young as 4 years old, whose families were desperate for income. Children were employed in dangerous facilities, such as meat-packing plants and factories. They sold newspapers, drove wagons, and shined shoes. Children who were not injured or killed often suffered health problems from unsanitary work environments. 100-hour work weeks. During this era, what is now the standard 40-hour work week was still decades away. Laborers, including children, worked 6 days per week, and they worked long hours each day. For example, in 1890, full-time factory workers put in an average of 100 hours per week. Working children, of course, had no time to go to school. Recognizing the evils of child labor, sociologist and photographer Lewis Hine quit his teaching job in 1906 in order to join the National Child Labor Committee. This was a nonprofit group that was working for reform. Hine's job was to investigate the conditions for children at job sites. The power of photographs. Hine took notes during his investigations, but he quickly realized that pictures would be more powerful. In an essay, he wrote, "Perhaps you are weary of child labor pictures. Well, so are the rest of us. But we propose to make you and the whole country so sick and tired of the whole business that when the time for action comes, child labor pictures will be records of the past." It helped that Hine was a gifted artist. His photos were more than portrayals of harsh working conditions. They were works of art that told the subject's stories. For example, in a 1909 photograph of a young girl working in a cotton mill, Hine frames the child between 2 tall rows of cotton spinners. The machines seem to stretch endlessly into the distance, looking like fences or stockades. Through Hine's lens, the picture becomes a portrait of a child caught in what is essentially a prison. During Hine's years with the National Child Labor Committee, he took more than 5,000 pictures of child laborers. His images contributed directly to passage of the Keating-Owen Child Labor Act of 1916, as well as other legislation that followed. Hine, once a teacher, had helped free generations of children to attend school, thus giving them a chance at a better life. While struggles to protect young workers continue to this day, Hine's photos of child laborers became what he had hoped they would, records of the past.